Hi, Kat and Susan here. Today we are going to talk about the Department of Homeland Security's release of their end of year numbers for 2025. Now, Susan did a lot of research on this week, and so we're going to have Susan lead on telling us all about what DHS has said on deportations and removals of the illegal immigrants. So take it away.
All right. So DHS says that it has removed approximately 600,000 illegal immigrants from the United States this year, and that 1.9 million have self-deported. And it also claims that 70% of those removed had criminal charges or convictions.
Okay, that sounds crazy.
So if you look at even the monthly totals that DHS had been releasing up to now,
Yeah.
that number doesn't make sense.
Right. It doesn't equal what I've seen anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
but what do independent reports say?
Well, yeah, we're going to get into that.
Okay.
So even in February, they said there were 17,000 detentions, and then it's ramped up over the year till September and October had 30,000.
Okay.
Well, even if you did 30,000 times the 11 months or so that they've been doing this, it doesn't add up to 600,000. So it doesn't
it's
make
like
sense.
double that, sounds like.
So it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So there are a bunch of independent groups like University of California, ACLU, TRAC, which is a data research organization at Syracuse University. They have sued for DHS data under the Freedom of Information Act requests.
Right.
And they've released reports based on that data. And it's DHS's own data.
Right.
So, they're using that same data that DHS should be using. And they have come up with, there's only been about 290,000 immigrants who have been removed this year.
Yeah, so that number is closer to what you're talking about from February as they ramped up. Even if there were 30,000 or so each month, that is around 300,000. So the 290 would
it would be a lot
closer.
A lot more what you would expect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So probably really about 290,000 this year.
Right.
So if we go ahead and scroll a little bit further down.
Okay.
But let's talk about how many immigrants who have been detained actually have criminal charges or convictions. And I think that's important because that's what most people, I think, are concerned about are those who are criminal, right?
Right. And that's especially violent criminals.
Yeah. And that's what the government has said they're doing. They're going up to the worst of the worst. So let's kind of take a look at the data and see if that's true.
Well, let me interrupt here for a second.
Yeah.
Define criminal.
Yeah. Well, again, a lot of people say, right, that
a lot of people say they're criminals because they entered illegally. Yeah. Duh. No.
Well, no. So technically, right, if you're here illegally, and it could be any way, you could have just crossed the border illegally, you could be overstaying a visa, you could have been here on asylum, and then the administration revoked all the asylums for your country, which has happened.
Right, the protected status.
So some of them came here legally and became illegal because the government revoked their status.
Their status, right.
So anyone who is here illegally, it's a civil offense.
Right.
Okay. So it also is a misdemeanor, but you only can be convicted if you actually taken to court and then convicted of that offense.
So a criminal means someone who's been convicted of the misdemeanor of immigrating.
Right, exactly.
Otherwise, they're not a criminal unless they've been convicted.
Otherwise, it's not a criminal conviction.
So then, committing a crime does not mean you're a criminal.
It doesn't mean you're legally a criminal either. Yeah.
Right. The definition of criminal is someone who's been convicted in a court of law of a crime.
Right.
Now, there's been a lot of debate around what is a misdemeanor. A misdemeanor is not considered a capital crime. It's not. It's very, very low on the criminal totem pole. Basically, it's just above infraction, like jaywalking or a speeding ticket.
Right.
Now, would the courts call someone who jaywalked or a speeding ticket a criminal? No. usually that term, even in the court system, the term criminal is referred to as someone who's committed a violent offense or above a misdemeanor, which is more into the felony territory.
Yeah.
So that there's a lot of debate around that. So thank you. Criminal means someone who's been convicted in a court of law of a crime.
Right. Or even has criminal charges filed against them.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We can count that too. So the percentage of those detained or deported who have criminal charges or convictions has now fallen to only 30% nationwide.
30%. Okay.
30%. And of those who were detained nationwide this year who do have criminal charges, 44% of those, of that 30%, have only immigration related offenses.
Right.
So nothing else. And also the percentage of immigrants detained who have violent offenses, right, has fallen to 5% nationwide only.
Right.
As opposed to last year, 2024, it was consistently 10 to 11% of those who were detained had violent offenses. So, and the rest of the criminal charges that are there, of the 30%, that wasn't 44% immigration offenses or wasn't the 5% violent offenses, a lot of them were misdemeanors, even as small an offense as a traffic violation.
Right.
So is it really the worst of the worst? I don't think so. So you can see that in the data. This fall, and it's getting worse. So this fall, they had data from the end of September, before the government shutdown, and then they got new data in November. So the amount of immigrants that are being arrested is increasing. And of that increased amount, that 5,000 or so, only 3% of those people who have been arrested since September have any conviction at all, even a traffic violation.
Okay, yeah.
So while they're arresting more and more individuals, the targeting has shifted sharply to individuals without any criminal convictions. So they're going less and less away from looking for the criminals and more to just arresting anyone who is an illegal immigrant. So the share, it's just, to me, you can see that the intent is just to get immigrants out. Any immigrant. Doesn't matter if they're law-abiding or not.
And I would have to say, even in a more clear way, brown immigrants. They're not targeting white immigrants. They're not targeting, in fact, South Africans have been allowed in.
But very few,
for example.
It seems like. Yeah. And we've heard
I
of some.
I haven't seen that, but yeah, I mean, it's really the targeting of when ICE goes out on the streets. They're not questioning white people. They're questioning brown people and people who speak Spanish. And what's really bad about that is SCOTUS is allowing it.
Yeah. Temporarily, at least.
Right.
They have said, the Kavanaugh stops are okay.
For the shadow docket, they've allowed it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's starting to affect American citizens.
Yes.
Who look like Latino, right? They're starting to say, and
or
wasn't
Somalian.
it just recently, somebody from ICE was saying, even if you're a citizen, you should be carrying your documents with you, that your driver's license isn't enough. I heard that just recently.
Yeah, where are your papers is 1930s Germany.
If you're a citizen, you shouldn't be having to carry your proof of citizenship with you everywhere.
And it's not even, you shouldn't have to. It's legally impermissible to ask a U.S. citizen for documentation.
Unless there's
legally, if you say I'm a U.S. citizen, you are not required by law to have to show any kind of papers or ID.
Yeah. Except under very certain circumstances. But just walking down the street?
Probable cause.
No.
But it has to be an articulable probable cause.
Not just,
for example,
you look Latino
is not probable cause.
Like you have a Spanish accent.
You appear, if you are under suspicion of having just committed a crime, that's the probable cause. And it has to be an articulable crime. Like, what code did I violate?
Yeah.
What legislation, what crime do you suspect I've committed? And it's not immigration.
Yeah.
because that's not considered an articulable offense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, what do we want our country to be, right?
Right.
We're supposed to be the country that has more freedoms than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
And if we start to the point where we're saying, oh, well, even if you're a citizen, you have to be carrying your documentation around with you, and we can stop you just because you have an accent, that's not a free country anymore.
No.
That's starting to become,
and what's crazy,
like a government's watching you type country.
Yeah, like Big Brother.
Not a free country.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's
1984 Big Brother.
Yeah, and I don't want our people's fear
Yeah.
of immigrants
Yeah.
to change the character of our country so much that we're now becoming like the state's watching you.
Right.
type
It's a
of
fabricated
country.
fear because statistically, according to crime statistics,
Yeah.
an immigrant is 85% less likely to commit a crime than a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
You're afraid of the wrong people.
Yeah, I agree with that. And as some people are like, well, I don't think immigrants are like angels compared to U.S. citizens, but it just makes sense. Like, if you're an immigrant, you would probably be even more careful not to commit a crime than someone who is a citizen, because you would be afraid that you would be deported, right?
Yeah, and something else that counters what you said about an ICE agent had just recently said that you need to carry papers. You need to be able to prove you're a U.S. citizen, right?
Yeah.
However, when people have pulled their real ID out, I'm a U.S. citizen, they're accused of it being fake and they are detained anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and in
many cases,
even some
so far,
first people have been accused. Their tribal IDs have been accused of being fake.
Yeah.
And so it's just it's the type of culture. Do we want to totally change our culture just because of a propagandized fear? Of the other.
Yeah.
I don't want that type of country.
I mean, when you think of being detained, many people follow very rigid schedules in their lives on a daily basis. If you were detained for even an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, how would that affect your life?
Yeah.
How would that affect you? Would your kids get picked up from school? Would you lose your job because you didn't show up? I mean, think about the ramifications of your daily life.
You end up with a broken arm, with a wrenched
medical
shoulder,
expenses,
with broken teeth, with whatever. That's been happening.
Yeah,
all too often.
And I'm just talking about the least severe, just the detainment.
Yeah, just to be detained.
I know,
for several
even
hours.
Just like getting stopped for a traffic ticket, and that police officer makes you wait a half an hour. You're late for work. You're late for picking up your child from daycare. And some daycares, if you're not there by 5 p.m., they charge you $10 a minute for every minute you're late.
Right.
Financial repercussions. They're just so much.
And you can just see that it's going to increase
negative
more and more and more as we get more and more and more of these stops going on. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, and if you want to check on how things have been going in your state, the State Line article that we share in our sources has a nice interactive map where you can click on your state and see, okay, how many have actually been detained in my state and what percentage are actually have criminal charges or convictions. So you can find out what's going on in your state. And then self-deportations. So the government said 1.9 million, but like where are we getting our numbers, right? I want to know what the real numbers are. So I said that their numbers are based on USCIS data, but it didn't explain how it calculated the numbers at all.
Yeah.
And as of 6 months into the year, they said that 13,000 self-deportations had been reported on the CBP Home app.
Okay.
So how did we get to 1.9 million?
Yeah.
It estimated, we don't know. I mean,
just
lot of
an
people,
arbitrary number they know Trump will like to hear.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
We don't know. But I mean, I'm sure a lot of immigrants who self-deport leave without informing the government, but still it's just like, let's just toss this number out here and call it good. So it's like, to sum up, the total number of immigrants removed this year is only 7% higher than the number removed under the last full year of the Biden administration. So at 290,603 versus 271,484 last year. And that's from the government's. So ICE reported, you can look at the actual numbers from the government itself, add it up. They reported it according to fiscal year. So you add up the fiscal year part from last year and the fiscal year this year, and that's what it adds up to. So I kind of
So what is the fiscal year for the government then?
I don't know exactly.
Is it October to November?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, October to November. Yeah. So I kind of want to talk about if you're the government, right? And you have the goal to deport all these people, and you have a base that wants the deportations, I think it kind of backfires on you to basically lie about how much you're deporting and who you're deporting, because all the people who are a little bit on the fence or independents or whatever, they're going to see that you're not telling the truth. Right. And they're going to be disillusioned. So to me, it doesn't make logical sense. But I guess if you feel like maybe this is the thing you have going for you, then you just want to make it sound as good as possible. But it's so easy to check. And I think
it's for the MAGA base. It's that's what I think. That's just pure opinion.
Yeah. But like when Kristi Noem was getting questioned the other day, and they asked her how many veterans have you deported, and she said none. And then
zero. We have deported 0 veterans.
And then they pulled up the veteran who had been deported. Here he is on
Let's
Zoom,
introduce Mr. So-and-so,
it's like,
veteran who you have deported.
It's like, come on, why did you bother to lie? Why not just say, yes, we have deported some veterans because they were here illegally. We appreciate what they've done, but, we had to deport them because they were here illegally. I think people would accept that. It's like, why lie? Just tell the truth,
Yeah.
But I don't know. It seems like it's so easy to check that you could tell that they're lying. And to me, it's shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, I'm a Republican, so I think if the country kind of like if it's the country's will of the majority to do these deportations, I guess we'll do them. But I think the way it's being done is a problem. It doesn't seem moral to me to be sending out these teams in such a public way, snatching people and just doing it in such a performative way. They want to provoke that protest. It seems like that's the point. It's not just to get the people out who are illegal, it's to provoke protest, because otherwise, I mean, we just read the data that they had almost as many deportations last year.
Yeah.
Without any of those teams that are roaming around the cities.
Being done right.
Yeah. They did it the right way. And they had a higher percentage of people with criminal offenses.
Yeah.
As opposed to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
So it was actually more
humanity.
effective last year than it was this year.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I really do think they're shooting themselves in the foot with their tactics, except that I think they might have another agenda. They want to provoke that dissent, so then they can start going after anyone who's protesting.
Yeah.
Because that is another way to get at anyone who's dissenting. Right?
And I think that is one of the ideas behind the executive order identifying Antifa as a terrorist organization.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the further orders that's been given to start actually targeting those types of people. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems like there's a bigger agenda behind it than even getting the illegal immigrants out.
So what is this thing about the ICE alternatives to detention programs?
That's something I didn't realize that ICE did. They actually monitor people as well, immigrants as well, instead of just putting them in detention. So they're currently monitoring over 182,000 families and single individuals.
Okay.
According to data as of the end of November. And they have different ways they can do it. They have something called a smart link. They have an ankle monitor, a wrist-worn monitor, a voice ID. Sometimes they use dual methods, sometimes GPS. And
Okay.
so they're actually monitoring people as well, which I didn't know. So that's an
Yeah.
interesting data point.
I have mixed feelings about that too.
Yeah.
Again, it seems like the whole 1984 Big Brother thing, you know?
Well, and we did our video about the increased biometric collection
Yeah.
that's being proposed, the rules that are being changed right now without any legislative input. And that's one thing they wanted to do, was increase continuous monitoring of any immigrant that comes into the country, legal or not. So, you know, more of that, more Big Brother stuff. And do we want our country to be like that? You know, it's something to think about.
Yeah.
So when we think about the detentions and the way it's being conducted, I think even if a lot of people think, okay, fine, let's get the illegal immigrants out, I think many people object to the manner in which it's being done.
Yeah.
So it's unnecessarily cruel. It's unnecessarily performative.
Brutal.
Definitely meant to provoke. Definitely meant to provoke.
Yeah.
And so people are protesting.
Yeah.
So to me, I want to think a little bit about that too. It's like, what do you think about, should people be protesting at all of these detention efforts?
Right. I mean, I think about, the first thing that comes to mind for me is the Portland detention center, where you have people dressing up in those costumes, like the frog and the unicorn. And I mean, the frog has become a mascot of peaceful protests now, the Portland frog.
Right.
So much so that I'm designing swag on our Etsy store. We've just launched an Etsy store, everybody.
Yeah.
I've only got like 10 designs up, but we're building it out, and I've got the Portland frog on there and whatnot. But it's become this mascot.
Yeah.
The Portland frog. And I think that's one of the best ways to protest.
Yeah.
It adds humor, and it's memorable, and
right. And
it's
it shows
peaceful.
that you're not threatening.
I know, it's
exactly.
peaceful.
It's like, we're not burning Waymo cars. We're just protesting, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think when you have these teams of volunteers that are converging on wherever they hear about ICE coming, and they're blowing their whistles, and they're yelling, you know, and stuff, all of that's legal.
Yeah.
I was reading where it said even cursing at them is
legal. It's not illegal to curse in public.
Blowing your horn is legal.
Yeah.
Blowing your whistle is legal. Now you can't block them.
Right.
You can't come close. You can't like put your car in front of, but you can follow them. Mm-hmm. That's legal.
Yeah.
So even if they tell you it's not, it's legal. Yeah. You're allowed to do that in the United States of America.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel. I don't think it's as effective if you're like yelling and screaming. Personally, I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's what they want. They want that provocation.
Yeah. That's what I think too.
I also think it serves a purpose though.
Yeah.
To do it that way. But again, it's the provocation that they do want. I think it's just a mixed bag.
Yeah.
You know.
I personally, if it was me, I would definitely be recording.
Yeah.
I'd probably be blowing my whistle.
Yeah.
Although it's like they have the legal right to detain these people because they are here illegally, but people do have the legal right to blow whistles if they want to, you know. But I would definitely record because there's a lot of abuses going on,
and there's outright lying on ICE reports.
Lying.
ICE, where the recent court cases have come out that the evidence, there's video evidence, there's a bunch of evidence that completely and utterly contradicts ICE agent reports of what happened to them.
Yeah. And they keep saying, oh, that people, U.S. citizens who have protested, they keep arresting them, charging them with like assaulting an officer, but then when it comes to the court time, they drop the charges. Mm-hmm. And so you can tell they weren't
because the officer actually assaulted the citizen.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't
Exactly.
the citizen assaulting the officer.
That's happening over and over and over again. If you actually start looking into it, it's a lot of
They're lying on the reports.
and they don't come often. Sometimes they come to the point of lying in court. That's what just happened with Greg Bovino up in Chicago.
Yeah.
The judge was like, they're lying about all this stuff, So yeah.
And the evidence is clear. It's like,
yeah.
Just because you say it doesn't mean it's true, bro. Like the trust me, bro mentality doesn't work in court. And that's why Trump fails in court a lot of times, is because when
you actually come to court and you have to
have
it.
Facts and evidence that actually hold up in court.
Then they end up dropping the charges.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, I would think if I was the government and I was sincere that I wanted to get these deportations done, I would not lie. Yeah. I would not make it be performative, and I think it would be way more effective, and people would accept it more, because it would just be like, okay, well, this is legally what needs to be done. But that's not the intent, I don't think. Yeah. They do want to deport people, but they also want to provoke, so they can get people protesting, and so they can start targeting U.S. citizens that dissent against what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part to me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's the scary part.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that wraps it up for this time.
It does.
So, do you have a comment or question? Drop it in the comments below.
And what do you think about that whole deportation? Let us know.
Yeah.
Check out our Facebook and our Blue Sky and our Substack accounts to keep informed and get updates.
Press the like button and hit subscribe and help get the word out.
And welcome to the conversation.